Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today, I want to answer some emails that were sent to me by viewers. I want to address what's going on in the joint session of Congress. I want to address these emails people have sent to me, either making statements about what's going on or asking my opinion about some things that have been going on. But before I do that, I want to remind everyone, I film my videos a day early because my internet is so freaking bad out here in the boonies that if I don't film and edit my videos the day before and then upload them overnight, they won't get uploaded. I can't film a video on a day and still upload it because it takes several hours for my videos to upload because of my crappy internet. And that's just a condition of where I live. Not everyone has high-speed internet. But I wanted to address these questions. And like I said, since I'm doing this a day in advance, for all I know right now, the world is burning down. We're all in our bunkers or we're out there on the street in, battle formation for all I know. But I'm willing to bet things just went pretty smoothly. I'm willing to bet some people objected. They went to their debates and then they came back and they verified the election. But I want to address some comments and some statements and some questions from viewers that range in the line of, are what these senators doing, is it sedition? Are they traitors? One person even sent me an email saying, look, this congressperson suggested that they should be shot, that they should all get the death penalty. And I watched the video and they did no such thing. All they said was, what they're doing borders on sedition if they have no evidence, that's just a statement of fact. But just asking to see evidence, that's not sedition. And they didn't say these people should be killed. They just said that. That was added by a Newsmax guy later, who was, hyperbole because that's how they sell their garbage. But if you watch places like that, remember, they're like the Inquirer of news programs. So take everything with a grain of salt. Because people on both sides are trying to conflate this to something or inflate this to something it's not. They're trying to make it into something bigger than it is. Like, oh my God, no one's ever objected to votes before. Every year someone objects to delegates or votes, etc. It doesn't usually make it as far as this one's made it, to where people actually want to actually have a discussion about them during the joint session. But people objecting, that's not that big a deal. And no one's calling for anybody to face the death penalty either. That's one side blowing things out of proportion, just like, oh, these guys are engaged in treason and sedition. That's another side blowing it out of proportion. Congress has every right to say, hey, these issues have been brought to us by the president himself and his legal team. We want to sit down, have a conversation, and have our fears assuaged. Let them say, okay, what about this? He says this. And they can say, nope, here's proof that's not true. What about this? Well, here's proof that's not true. And then after the debate's over, if they go out to the floor and say, well, all the things I worry about were addressed and there's no evidence to the contrary, I have to do my duty. That's not sedition. That's just wanting to know what's going on. That's being involved. That's actually kind of doing your duty in some way. So sedition is not something I'm like, oh my God, they're all engaged in sedition. Sedition would come like if they object and then they go to council or quarters and they do their debate. And even though they have no evidence of their concerns, they're just like, yeah, but I heard someone say, or the president said, and even though there's evidence to contrary, I'm choosing to ignore the evidence. Well, then that would be sedition if they don't have evidence. Now, if they go to their conference and they find that there is evidence that something that maybe nobody has seen yet, because let me tell you right now, all the evidence I've seen so far is basically amounts to nothing. It's conjecture, it's assertions, it's people making graphs off of information that's wrong. It's just stuff like that. Even when you research the legal cases, most of the cases have been thrown out because of merit, meaning the evidence they put forward is not valid. It isn't something that's true. It's not just because someone says something doesn't make it true. And just because Rudy Giuliani edits a videotape and puts it out there, that doesn't override the full videotape that's been available now that contradicts everything they said in their first one. So, but like I said, get back on topic. If they go to conference and there's evidence of something, well, then they can make the next step. That's still not sedition if there's actually evidence backing up what they want to look into. Now, there's certain things they don't get to do. Like, say, people are yelling about, oh, ballot signatures. They got to do the ballot signatures. They haven't done any ballot signatures. They did ballot signature verification on every ballot that was counted. And they also did ballot signature resampling afterwards to make sure they were still valid. The people that are screaming about they won't let us see the ballot signatures know very well they can't actually just turn them over to them because that violates privacy laws and election laws. So they're asking for something they can't get. But a judge could. A judge could subpoena the information under certain privacy precautions, but they never asked for that because they know that's not the point. They're more interested in keeping the fight going. But here's the thing. Like I said, Congress has a right to see the evidence. Just because you might think you know the evidence, or I might think I know the evidence, that doesn't mean we know everything, and that doesn't mean they've seen the evidence. So they have a right to say, I want to see the evidence, I want to dispute this until we address this. They have every right to do that. It's not sedition. It's not treason. Like I said, and if they find evidence, they can go forward. If they do it, like I said, and then there's no evidence to support their side, and they still reject the electors, that's sedition. That is trying to overturn a duly elected official, a duly elected delegate, without proof. You have to have proof that's verifiable in the court, and that is the court's job. The court's job in our Constitution and in our government is to verify things like this. And so far, they have said this is without merit. Some things they've just said you don't have standing to sue. But the main cases, they've said, you've come in front of me, you've spoken, Giuliani, you don't know what you're talking about. This stuff is bullshit, whatever. That's what the courts have done so far. That's their job. New evidence might come out, and they might say differently. They might be able to get an immediate ruling or an emergency ruling on something. But just objecting in itself is not sedition. It is not treason. So how about everybody just take a deep breath, let it play out the way it is, and then at the end of the day, by the time you're seeing this, it's probably over, but hopefully things went well, and just let it go well. That's the thing. I can't really tell you that now, but I can tell you, those of you that are screaming sedition because they tried to invalidate it, no, that's not sedition. They didn't break any rules doing that. If by the time I say this, the city is on fire and people are throwing, then yeah, maybe there's some sedition, unless new evidence came out. But let's wait until it actually happens before we start calling people traitors, because that is a very serious charge. All right, with that being said, I want to move on to a little bit of gun talk here, which I'm also going to answer a viewer email. Got an email from a viewer in Alaska, actually, who said, hey, I would like to carry a .44 Magnum, but I'm afraid people will say it's overkill. And he said, I'm going to be honest, I don't really go out into the bush. I'm not really worried about bears. I don't live far enough north to worry about polar bears. In fact, they said they live in the Inside Passage, but they still want to carry a .44 Magnum because they think it's good for everything. But is that overkill? And if they ever got in trouble for using their gun, like if they were going to be charged with something, could that be used against them? Well, anything can be used against you. Whether it can be successfully used against you is another question. Could the caliber be used against you? Maybe, but I doubt it because there's already precedents in court that caliber doesn't really matter. A firearm is a deadly weapon, and one being slightly more deadly than the other doesn't really factor in. It's more circumstance when you actually have to use your gun. So I wouldn't worry about it. But if you take the opposite route, you could also say that having a 9mm, because this is one of the things they said in their question. I probably should have read their whole question to you. They said, would it be better to have the 6 really powerful .44 Magnums, or would it be better to have like 60 rounds of 9mm by carrying an extra mag or two? Well, if you were looking at what they would use against you in court, well, someone could easily say, this guy was carrying 60 rounds. That's enough to kill like 2 classrooms full of kids. Why was he carrying that many rounds? If they want to use hypotheticals like that, they want to use this round is so powerful. Why was he carrying such a powerful round? It looked like he definitely wanted to kill somebody. They could do that. Whether they could do it successfully, that's very doubtful. Just like it'd be very doubtful if they could say, oh, he's got 60 rounds. He obviously wanted to kill a lot of people. And he only got to kill one, but he wanted to kill a lot. So anything can be used against you. But neither of those is very likely to be successful in court. It's all about circumstance. If it's a good shoot, you're going to probably be good no matter what you use. Even if you bludgeon them to death with a fire extinguisher. If you had just cause to fear for your life and fight back, it's probably going to be okay. If you get involved in a questionable shoot, like you could have gotten away, you shouldn't have been there in the first place, or is it's actually in doubt that you were ever in any danger. If you do any of those things, if you make that mistake, well then yeah, anything they throw at you is going to be part of what you have to fight your way through. So the best advice is to just make sure you do the right thing. You keep yourself aware of what's going on. You avoid bad situations. And then it doesn't really matter if you carry 39 millimeters or 644 magnums. But I think that the whole argument of will it be used against you legally is a little bit silly, and you don't really have to worry about it too much. Because like I said, a good attorney could easily say, he only carried 6 rounds of ammo on him. He wasn't out there to get into any battles. He wasn't looking to start trouble. Like I say, it's all about arguing in court. And if you've got good conditions on your chute, none of the rest will matter. So if you want to carry 44 Magnum, go ahead. I carry it sometimes because I live in an area where there's bears. But I don't worry about shooting bears. I've been around bears my whole life, never even had to even think about shooting one. I see a bear almost daily here and don't have to worry about shooting them. I respect them. They stay away from me. But as far as the legal thing is, go ahead. I carry them because I like to carry it. I think it's a very effective round. If I'm having to shoot at someone from 30 yards away who's wearing maybe soft body armor, I'm going to be glad I had that 44 Magnum with me. It's one of the things I take into account when I decide, what kind of target am I going to be shooting at? Am I going to have to shoot through a hard barrier? Sometimes I think those 6 effective rounds would be better than 30 semi-effective rounds. You know what I mean? So you decide what you want to carry. Don't worry so much about the legal liability about it. At least not the legal liability that comes from intention and what you're actually carrying. Worry more about the circumstances and if you're in the right when you actually pull that trigger. Hey, before we move on here, I want to do a little call out to people here. If you are someone that has been chosen as a beneficiary of the TYM P, please make sure we have your FFL information. If you haven't sent us your FFL information, please do so. Some of the guns are coming back in now, and I'm able to get things shipped out. And we have now shipped all the guns we actually have FFL info on. In fact, you will see some video here probably by the time this post, or actually it'll be the next day. You'll see this tomorrow, where we're actually sending out all the guns we have info on up till now. But if you have been a recipient, or if you applied, make sure you check your email for something saying that you were chosen. And if you've been chosen, give us your FFL member information, because we want to get all these sent out, all the ones through December, so we can start worrying about January. So if you've been chosen, or if you've even applied, check to see if you were chosen. And if you were chosen, please get us that info as soon as possible. All right, as usual, I want to end the show today with our viewer EDC. Today's concealed carrier is John H. And one of the reasons I wanted to show John is because he is actually carrying a 44 Magnum, like we spoke about in one of the earlier segments. He's actually carrying my favorite 44 Magnum carry gun, the one I carry when I carry a 44 Magnum, the Smith & Wesson 329 PD. This is an awesome 44 Magnum, scandium frame, titanium cylinder. It's very light, very easy to carry, and still packs that 4-inch barreled 44 Magnum power. It is slightly abusive when you shoot it, but if you're in a situation where you have to fire your gun, you're probably not going to worry about chafing your hands a little bit. So, awesome gun for carry. And he's carrying it in a holster from my favorite holster maker, Lobo Gun Leather. These are awesome holsters. I just love them, the way they use the triple leather design, so your belt doesn't have to do all that kinky crap all the way through, winding through a holster. So one of the best holsters I've ever found. Love it. Suggest it to anyone. Now, the only thing I can say about this setup is it is awesome. Great gun. Great holster. I am not going to say anything about the way he's carrying it here. It seems like he's carrying it in a reliable position. Although I will say, based on the picture he sent me here, your gate's open. I don't know if you know that. So you might be missing a puppy or perhaps a baby right now. So you might want to check into that, since the gate, like I said, is open. Although I bet it's a puppy, because judging from this photo here, it looks like the baby is still a few weeks out. Looks like we won't have to worry about that for a while. But that being said, I just wanted to show someone who's actually carrying a 44 Magnum, in this case a Smith & Wesson 329 PD, in their Lobo Gun Leather holster. And if you ask me, there's nothing overkill about it. That's an awesome choice. All right, everybody, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you come back tomorrow. But until then, I want to remind everyone, like I said earlier, if you've been a TYM Triple P recipient, please get me your FFL information. If you want to know more about TYM Triple P, maybe put yourself in the running to be a recipient, go over to tympistolproject.com. There's a link in the upper corner of this video. You can check it out there. And if you go over and check it out and you like what we're doing, and you want to be a patron of this channel, remember, this channel's solely viewer funded. We do not take advertising. We don't take money from Leviathan or any gun groups or anything. I try to keep this as honest as possible, where I answer only to you. So if you want to become a patron and support things like the Pets and Vets Project, the Friend Project, the TYM Triple P, go over to patreon.com/the Yankee Marshal, sign up and become a supporter of the channel. All right, with that being said, I want to sign off today, as usual, by saying, as far as the state of the world today is concerned, and I'm assuming this because, like I said, the world could be on fire by now for all I know, because I'm filming this a day early, but hopefully it isn't. So as far as the state of the world today is concerned, you know, it is what it is. But what it will be in the future, if we ignore the fearmongers, we ignore the profiteers, we ignore the attention whores, and we just do what's right and we keep our heads about us, what things will be in the future is a lot better.